Gragas if you aren't completely snowballing the game out of control. And that was a game where it did go a little bit back and forth early, but Lyra had so many kills and assists to his name that he was sitting there with like, I think his scoreline at one point was 6 kills or 4 kills with 0 deaths and multiple assists.
Partial win for Lyra.
Yeah, it's a win for his KDA.
For sure. That Elise was banned out last game. It will actually be the first pickup. We see the Rek'Sai left up on the board. That was kind of a takeaway with the Elise down, but we can see Lyra wants that first. Jin Tom on the other side, as we would expect. Wild Turtle gets safety from elimination, and that's what he was playing. Shields, heals, still trying to get in that very supporty-esque, and you can do that with Tom. Still make an impact.
Yeah, a little interesting that the last 4 games in a row, Elimination has now played Tahm Kench. When he finds a support he likes, he sticks with the support that he likes, whether it was Karma or Zyra, etc. It just keeps going. So we'll see how many games moving forward that he plays Tahm Kench in a row.
The Morgana there too, which is actually quite prevalent as we see some counter picks being had with her. But that is not the case. Braum, Xayah on the other side, one of my favorite lanes. This lane can kick your butt so early with crowd control and force a flash immediately at level 2 with a concussive blows stun. She pulls the arrows or the feathers back, and there's no chance. No chance.
Yeah, it's a great CC lane.
Unless you have a Tom.
Yeah, it's a great CC lane, and then you have a way to block for the Jhin, block a lot of his damage. FlyQuest, all right, I guess they'll take the Rek'Sai here to go up against the Elise.
Now we'll see that being a Rengar last game. Not this time.
Yeah, with the Rek'Sai on the table, gonna go for that early pressure. And then Renekton ban comes through, as well as Fiora ban. So a lot of top lane bans here, including the Kennen that Team Envy banned away, and the Rumble from Balls. So Balls has now pulled 3 bans, including a Fiora.
Feels good, man. Also still plays quite a bit in that top lane.
Yeah. And I mean, last split, there was a lot of criticism about Balls. I mean, I feel like this happens every other split for Balls. It's like, the guy's great, the guy's not good, the guy's great, the guy's not good. He's the best performing member on his team right now in terms of consistency. And we'll see what happens here. I do think the Shen is a pretty good pickup here for the team, where he can once again have a 1-3-1 pattern, but it's not a winning matchup up against something like a Kled that would be picked for Seraph afterwards. He can even play his signature Jace into it and have an okay time.
I like that. Sure. Play Shen. You see him, sir? Yeah, sure.
I mean, nobody goes, give me Shen, man. That's my favorite champion.
Well, let's go. That's what I always remember with Balls way back when. One of the first studios we had when we interviewed him, the team was kind of like, well, there's times when he kind of loves Shen, and there's kind of times when he doesn't like Shen. Here, yeah, sure. We're gonna do it. We're gonna throw it in.
Ooh, I like this. The Jarvan for Envy, possibly an Orianna blind pick to back it up here from Niski. It would be a new look for him since the Cassiopeia and Syndra are the 2 that we've seen. But I feel like every mid laner's got to play Orianna.
I like that. I can get behind that. You should. But it's not Celia.
All right.
Another mid laner, everyone should be able to play. Yes, so effective.
Just a little bit harder, of course.
Yeah, you don't see the damage right away. You need to set your things up, be patient, and we'll see if Niski can do that. Same kind of thing with Cassiopeia. Very aggressive, but also can play well if you can absorb a fight very well. We'll see what happens here with these picks. We have a Malzahar hovering on the side of FlyQuest. They are looking for what would be a mid laner.
Yep.
And they're going to lock that in.
High played
Malzahar
yesterday, and it was not very effective. Ended up getting a little bit destroyed by the counter pick of the Zillion, but this time no counter pick available, and is able to kind of play it in whatever matchup he wants. We'll see if he runs the teleport again, which he did previously.
Yeah.
But he wasn't able to get a lot of picks, and in this composition, he could get some picks on Niski. Not in love with it, but I feel like this FlyQuest composition is really just built for picking.
No, it is, and that's the scary thing is Hakuo looks at you, you're trying to stand still and get somebody, Glacial Fishered out of that, right? You get a wall put in front of you by Niski, Featherstorm out coming from Apollo. There's a lot of things that deny those picks that want to happen. It's all kind of relying on FlyQuest being ahead.
Yeah, and FlyQuest, they'll have some of that pick potential, some engage as well, but then Envy on the other side, what feels like happened is Envy said, last game, we had too little engage. So they went with Jarvan, they went with having the Braum, and now pretty much every single person on this team has a way to pick somebody off for Envy or start a fight. And last game, they were really lacking in that. And had too much focus on the split push and not enough on starting a team fight or diving, and they have that remedied here.
Hashtag Envy win, hashtag Fly win as we head into game. A bit of a switch up in the compositions for both teams. High actually getting that Corki out last game had a huge impact. We'll see if he carries that confidence here into game 2 as we're about to be on the rift for Envy versus FlyQuest.
FlyQuest finally getting their first win after 5 games in a row of losing. Whereas Envy, they're sitting at 3-4 match record. They want to bring this back so they can be at that 500 mark, stop their slide in the standings. And it was actually a little bit ago that we got to the point where Envy had 3 match wins, and it was a celebration of they've now gotten the same number of wins that they did in spring. And if Envy win here,
Ready to surpass that.
they've shown that they have surpassed that.
Yeah.
They're no longer in that 10th place team position, that the upgrade in the mid lane that they've been bringing over, as well as the change in coaching staff over to Violet, has really helped with their problems. And we talked about some of their problems of sieging. The Talia was something that Pyrian played and helped them siege turrets. Now with Niski on it, we'll see if it's the same thing.
Being able to control much more of the macro game, that helping as well. As we talked about Hakuo's warding percentages, top of that list for the team, definitely helps to control early game objectives and find themselves a way to shut down teams. We know Team Envy will be a great early game team. Let's see if they can play that out once again here with the help of Lyra. Pretty orthodox starts all around. They have relic stacks in the bots for Lemon and Hakuo, so they'll be getting intertwined in the minion waves and in a little bit of trouble early game.
Yep.
We'll see if that Xayah Braum lane actually comes up as big as it could.
Let's see what happens here on this top side, because it looks like it's going to be a super leash. My favorite. Do it. Do it for my boy Lyra. Clear. Yeah, you have your mid laner help you on the small raptors. You kill all the small raptors. It gets you level 2. Then your bottom lane, which has taken almost no damage here from this red buff, will pick it up. You get it. Hit level 2 and have your red buff here. We'll see if Lyra smites the raptor. He's not going to smite it here, it looks like. Because that thing...
It would be smite death.
Yeah, you smite it, it pretty much instantly goes away, so... We'll see what he does with his smite charges, possibly wolves and then blue, or if he's going for a full level 4 clear. Looks like he does not have an experienced Quint. You're usually a little bit closer, I believe, to the next level.
Looks like, obviously, this is the way that Talia would play and push her lane in, but High would get the turret bounce that would put him in the middle of the wave if Lyra was ready for it once this comes back around. So a possible setup here, step by step for Envy onto the mid lane.
Yep. Maybe a top lane visit here from both junglers. Moon
too.
Going for a level 3. Did he get spotted? Don't think so, but he is going to actually walk right into Lyra. Looks like he's committed already.
Ooh, interesting. Just under and over each other. Nobody worse for the wear there as they just kind of back off from the fight. Nothing actually comes out of that mid lane. And we'll see if High can continue to pick up these minions. Is he already missing a few per each wave here?
Yeah, just a little bit there.
Tiny, tiny.
I like this route from Rek'Sai as well. You clear Raptors, Red, Krugs, then you back, get yourself a longsword and a control ward. So now you have a control ward to place for one of your laners, and make sure that your next gank is pretty much unseen in vision. Hold on, looking for High. Gonna get knocked back.
There's the flash. Lyra top side, getting himself some aggression. Lyra middle gets a flash.
Yeah, it might have actually been a little bit of an early flash there from High, because Niski didn't have a Unraveled Earth or anything like that out to deal extra damage. And didn't retaliate there as well onto Lyra. Moon spotted out though, and you're gonna see Elimination try to go for Lyra.
Oh, Spider's helping him out.
Yeah. Okay, gotta get out.
When in doubt, Spider's out. Gets away. Elimination wouldn't be able to get the slow down.
Yeah, he has abandoned Wild Turtle though, who's about to get collapsed on. A little bit out of position there. The exhaust and the slow will come through.
Oh, the stun after stun. Pull back as well. There's the damage, but that's what we were waiting for. You can still get to safety. Wild Turtle holds the summoners too. He's been very good at that lately.
Yeah, with the Tom Kench there, that's an exhaust for back on the Jhin. Yeah, well, actually, he may not actually fully back here. Wild Turtle doesn't have a potion running, but he does have Warlord's Bloodlust. And there's this gigantic minion wave. So yeah, definitely you don't want to back here and miss out on this. But the reason he's not backing as well is I believe they saw Lyra on the ward, so he knows that he's not getting doped.
Good guy Lemon. He just walked out of the way of that Q. Let it hit Turtle in the face. Be a good support. Tank shots for your AD carry. We'll see these cleared up quite easily as they start prepping the minions. The method to the madness under the turret, well known here by LCS players, and a good cleanup there by Turtle and Lemon.
Yep. So far, down 2 CS as the wave gets shoved in. Able to pick up a little more for themselves too. So because they know they aren't in threat of a dive, they haven't really spent Wild Turtle's ward on like the tri-brush or anything. So far FlyQuest looks like they're playing it a little bit, I would say dangerous, but it's actually fine because they know Lyra's clearing.
Right. Bit of a roam from Niski. Looks like they'll get some good vision or even possibly a full roam using the passive of Talia to get out of lane quick. The call really hasn't been heard just yet, but he doesn't know this is a 2v2.
Yeah, Ball still has flash and gets pushed back though. Wow.
Nicely done. Usually you see the shove too. Throwing him the other way, making sure he gets the right positioning.
Yeah, shoved him away just in case. And then the Unraveled Earth. The Unraveled Earth goes off if people dash over it. So the fact that the Seismic Shove counts as a dash for the person moving over it works. But if they just step over it, it's fine. But if you Shadow Dash over it, instantly activates all of the little ones that you run over. So covers that option too from Balls here. Yeah, pushes him away. So if you can't Shadow Dash over, he'll take more damage. He would have had to flash the flag and drag, but by then it was a little bit too late already. Well, Hakuo picking up some of the honey fruit, and Niski on the roam. Moon.
They're actually already in the jungle. Apollo he walked away from that, so Moon could have just went right
diving
into the
high.
EnVy. Looks like they're giving the same medicine back to High in the mid lane that they delivered to Niski last game. And they're able to come up with the kill this time.
Yeah, huge dive there. Everybody just comes down from EnVy, and that was a big collapse. Balls tries to go for the ultimate, but it doesn't even help out. That's interesting too. Seraph with a cull.
Yeah,
the top
I was
lane.
just going to mention Seraph's technical.
Yeah, it's been there for a while too, so making sure that he's trying to get an advantage in this top lane so that he can split push a bit.
There is some kill potential from a Shen. You just have to stand there for a while. So not too much of a worry. He can farm it up. So he makes an impact in the lane.
Interesting condition to kill somebody. They have to, I mean, they have to DC, stand there for a little bit. But yeah, you're right. The Shen does get to a point where if he gets Titanic Hydra, he can go a little bit even with the Jarvan in the lane. But the Jarvan skirmish potential and like the duel potential is very high because of the fact that he has some armor reduction with the Dragon Strike and the pass-through Q. You always have to be a little bit careful when dealing with him.
Niski, you can almost see his positioning here of where he wants to play his unraveled, or worked ground, I should say, where he can get some passive movement speed. Good pressure onto Moon to make sure he's not assisting High. He's not assisting other lanes. I mean, Niski was just here to try to make that top lane play happen. They got a kill out of. And they're basically living behind this red, so anything to the top side where they were helping Balls last game is just not happening.
Yeah, it's not really the split push in the top side though, so it's just a little bit of a different strategy here from game to game because of what champions you have. It's more of a focus on High here. And against FlyQuest, I don't think it's actually a bad strategy to focus High because of the fact that they do have that High Moon synergy and you have to watch out for that. But when High gets behind, there's a noticeable difference in the team's shot calling because he likes to split push. He likes to go off into a side lane and try to get turrets for his team. But when he's so far behind, and even on a champion like Malzahar, you see the difference where he's not taking the turret like a Trinity Force Corki or anything like that. It's a Malzahar trying to take it, and it definitely changes what you see out of FlyQuest. I think Balls actually loses this. Uses the Shadow Dash to get in.
I'm going to go with the same story on that one. Pages finish out as we expect.
Oh, and Balls has no information on who's up here. So he backs up very, very far. And that just means that they have no idea.
Interesting. Yeah, he gave the first bit of that wave a lot of respect. Understanding that the dive would have happened, he moves back, but that's what they wanted. The dominoes are falling in place. And it looks like they're going to be ready for this gank. He just sees it and starts to back off.
Yep.
A little too empty in the mid lane.
Yeah, Niski as well backing up. So yeah, give up this first turret. And now it's the inverse of what happened in the previous game. Better matchup for Seraph in the top lane. And he gets that turret with the help of the Tiamat and the shove. And Balls tried to trade back with him when he still hadn't spent a decent amount of gold. And that goes that first turret to Lyra and Sarah.
First turret down of the game. Would also like to welcome NALCS 1 viewers here.
Oh, they beat us again.
FlyQuest. Victory for NALCS 1. But here we're looking for Envy to find victory to bring us to a game 3. FlyQuest looking to close it out with 1 victory here. And a recap of game 1, Lyra went off on the rec side, but it just didn't end up being enough overall. Having a good start here as well. Envy's able to use that and capitalize.
Yeah, Niski also had a good performance in the first game, but really was FlyQuest's macro. And it was a neck-and-neck game, 50-ish minutes. And now this one already a pretty big lead early on for Envy. So looking to strike back. There's that Mountain Drake. Oh, woo.
He tagged it.
Yeah, so many Qs.
Underestimating the range of the shove and Unraveled Earth there. Fly takes quite a bit, and he is kept at his turret. Niski using all unworked ground to make sure he could just continuously 5-volley these waves.
Yeah, threaded volleys just coming through over and over again. The cooldown on that ability is so low once you have it at max rank. 2.85 seconds, and that starts when you start the cast. So by the time it's finished, you can almost do it again.
It's a lot of rocks.
It is. A very large amount of rocks.
Don't know where she keeps them.
In the ground. She pulls them out of the ground. There's rocks all around us.
Picks them up real quick.
Now look for another dive.
Rift was cleaner than that. Pushing down towards mid here. Still, the minion waves have just not left High's turret. They're not able to get these dives down this time.
Yeah, but you can see Seraph on the top side is ready, positioning himself for a dive just in case. Clearing out the Raptors as well, so Moon doesn't have as much to do either, and they're taxing that jungle.
All right, so Tiamat versus Tiamat on the top side. Balls will be able to create a bit more pressure, but it'll be pushed back at him just as fast. Top side for Lyra and Seraph here to possibly relieve all of that and have Envy pick up more. That was good. Good check. Balls was going for the ward, but he said, I don't necessarily need it this far up. I'll wait for the wave to come back in.
Yeah, gets exactly the information he needs that the jungler's on the top side. And he's going to take it back for himself. Get himself some HP.
Oh, Quicksilver Sash buy for Niski. Really wanting to continuously be in the face of High and says, I feel like I'm going to be ulted quite soon, and I want to still be able to fight after that.
Yeah, how do you end up dying and having this turned around on you?
Yeah.
You get Malzahar ulted. And it's such an interesting point of the game as well because High now has the Morello completed. His ultimate cooldown is 90 seconds, and the QSS cooldown is 90 seconds at this point. So you'd be able to possibly QSS the first 2 ultis on cooldown before High gets the next rank of his ability.
17 more minions for Seraph's Call, a bit of a surge in gold for him, and it shouldn't be too long before that happens in the top side push. Apollo to bot, looks like High will actually start to respect that. Not a lot of wave clear from him in mid, so as they switch this up, it shouldn't affect FlyQuest defense too much. They might be able to dive High though.
Yeah, always have to watch out for that. High in a side lane. Ball's trying to farm. So FlyQuest are just saying we need to keep our turrets alive for as long as possible.
Right.
Farm up and hope that something happens that the Shen can ulti in and make it in time and try to turn a fight. But right now it looks like this mid lane turret, 4-man strong from Envy, trying to get this turret down.
There it is. They have the positioning. A lot of disengage as well. With that much health on a turret, Envy could easily ult out and be good to go. They make their way down to the bot side. A few camps to clear up, so really nothing more on the plate for Envy. Seraph will stay safe in the top side. It's kind of what is FlyQuest's answer here. They do have the Mountain Drake, so once they approach a turret, it'll be good. But again, they've fallen behind here in the early game. It was quite a big fight. That got them back in game 1.
Yeah, and we're already looking at a 5,000 gold lead, 14 minutes in the game for Envy. Yeah. So far, they've been killing it in terms of CS and also in those kills in turrets. So already off to a really good start for them.
Keeping it level. Get a kill, get a turret. Making sure everything is orchestrated perfectly. A lot of roaming into the jungle here as Envy starts to cut off what would be the cavalry of FlyQuest. You saw Lemon Nation already made it through. That may be enough members. It just looks like Envy is in here for a little bit of a resource steal.
Went over to High?
Almost. High does get his blue.
Yeah. almost level 11 as well. And wants to shove out that bottom side of the map. So if he didn't get that blue, it could have been pretty bad for him, but does have it. Doesn't have boots, though, so he can actually get run down by this Talia if he ends up in a bad spot. Because Talia has those tier 2 boots. There's the... Oh,
flash shot. There's the QSS. Remember, it sticks. That damage still going. He needs to get out of the way. And Niski does see that Balls was coming in. So a little pressure relief on the map. That was Moon up top, though, to make sure that was okay to happen. But what can Seraph get out of this? Was free time. He's teleported in.
Well, they got the Rift Herald on the top side of the map. You do have to be careful as Niski, though, because Taunt Flash is a thing. And it's definitely what they want to go for here, knowing the QSS is down.
Ooh, nicely played in front of the silence there. Niski with a quick run on his work ground. Trying to take high one-on-one now. He's saying, where'd Balls go? And he's going to have to chug that refillable potion down. Haku almost close enough to flash Q forward. Oh, the Glacial Fisher! And High falls straight in.
And now they get to push topside. The map is just collapsing for FlyQuest. They lose their mid laner there to the support getting a play. Hakuo coming up big.
And look, they still have this Rift Herald to use turret torpedo on an inner turret. Not something you usually see.
Yeah, I feel like this may have been better utilized in mid. Just because this turret actually
I don't disagree.
Got more attention on it here.
And also that hit from a full health Rift Herald would have been a few more shots from where Apollo actually is. Outer turrets are down, and we know how good EnVyus those early game leads. They would have vision in the jungle immediately.
We'll see what happens, because I say I would have liked it mid a little bit more, but it's the whole idea of it's harder to get those inhibitor turrets. But this from Niski was so well played. He popped the Ghost, and Hyatt doesn't even have tier 1 boots. And then Haku with the flash forward, pinched him against the wall as well.
I like that he threw out the voids. He's like, oh, the Q will get hit by the voidlings.
Yep.
Oh, Glacial Fisher goes
Not
through
looking
that.
for the Q.
The ultimate was worth. Presents were delivered. So Hakuo now able to move forward. You can see a little scary on his solo mission, but Envy feels like they have that breathing room here to get those wards forward. And why not? If Apollo can keep farming and everybody else can do these things while Hakuo gets those wards in, buffs those stats up, why not?
And Niski so far, good decisions this game, and good play so far. Like,
going that hard?
Yeah, his seismic shot, his 100% kill participation, and also the fact that he purchased the QSS when he did. A lot of people would have just completed the Morellonomicon. He would have been able to very easily to just full buy that item, but goes for the QSS, saying that the only way that they get back into this game is if they pick me. That's exactly what they tried to do. High used the Ghost, used the ultimate, and then Balls also used his to try and get in.
Flash as well. High flashed immediately before ult to make sure Balls was in range for a taunt. So that's down for High to have initiation as well.
And that's the scary thing too, is High, and it seems like they didn't check the inventory of Niski for a while.
Yeah.
Because that was a play that he's dead if he doesn't have QSS. If he doesn't have QSS, 100% dead.
I definitely wouldn't expect it this early.
Look for Balls.
But the inventory is viewable by all people in the game, and so is that kill. Niski comes up with another one, 2-0-2, as he's participated in everything.
Yeah, Niski so far with the roams, and this might be what Envy needs when he's having good games like this. And on a champion like Talia that affects the side waves instead of, and roams well, instead of the Cassiopeia that he had previously.
Yeah.
Did struggle a bit with that, converting his leads, because he's getting leads. It's just converting that to the rest of the team and playing around the team seems to be the issue here so far.
It's a very good point. We talked about kind of how much of those resources were funneled into him for each play. Seems to be a bit more tempered here. That's going to be Zaya getting hit up. Featherstorm not able to come out just quick enough. 30 seconds on the clock as the fight continues. Silence for Seraph as he cataclysms right into flag and drags to the next play. Where's it going to be? Balls goes down now as Niski makes his way surfing to the top side through the river.
Yep, and now Moon and Wild Turtle are just kind of stuck clearing waves. And these side lane plays from Envy end up just being faster than FlyQuest. FlyQuest try to start them, but Envy collapse and are in a position to collapse a little bit better. You can see here, they're already moving, right? They say our mid lane wave and our bottom lane wave are too far into the enemy territory for them to counter with more numbers. Even though they lose Apollo right off the bat and it's a 2-on-2, and one of those people is a support for Envy, it doesn't matter. They already had Lyra and Niski roaming way ahead of time, and they knew that Wild Turtle and Moon had no chance of making it there because the minion waves got shoved. And that's why shoving your minion waves is so important in the mid game when you're trying to make plays.
Looking at Baron coming up in 29 seconds kind of shocked me a little bit where we are here. 19.5 minutes into the game. It feels like we're almost farther through with the way the engagements are happening on second tier turrets. Rift Herald being used on an inhibitor turret here much earlier than that. So the stride in favor of Envy here, but can they keep their momentum? They had not this big of a lead last time, but Lyra himself had quite a lead, and they weren't able to control it. Right now, they haven't given Fly a way back in. They've been staying away from these picks that they can create. Envy has it.
And it's mostly picks, right? It's not just a big team fight or anything like that. FlyQuest are a lot of single target damage here with all of their champions. Right. Envy are playing around that and kind of splitting the map, and do have some better one-on-ones, right? Niski is playing the Talia with the QSS, so he can't be really destroyed by high. And then in the top lane, Seraph already has an advantage for himself, both in CS and just in raw gold.
And while it probably has a pretty good champion pool, right? Fnatic Academy coming over, wouldn't be a mid laner in a pretty good team if you didn't. The Talia wasn't really there for what he was playing lately. We saw that Syndra, we saw the Cassio, and then he continues to feel comfortable on new champions here on the LCS stage. Doing very well for himself. 214 to 169 in that CS as well.
Oh man, that's a big gold lead for Envy. They used to be the kings of gold lead. They had at 15 and 20, they were like #2 for a good bit there back in week 3 and 2. But this game's gonna put them back up just a bit. 8,000 gold at 20 is a huge lead.
We'll see how they use it effectively. Mid turret goes down. Bot lane's not getting pushed right now. It's kind of a party in the mid lane with Sarah's teleport being down. But with that turret hit, they have a little bit easier of a movement through the jungle. Wards live a little bit longer as they push them up.
Yeah, and this point of the game, it's that control, that vision control. Right now, it's all Baron, all Envy right now. 4 control wards around that area that I can see. Everybody is just making sure that these wards are protected as others back. So Apollo's kind of half bluffing here because Niski is back, Hakuo is back, and High, look at that, Lyra flashing away, trying to knock it ultied.
Oh, he pulled off. Oh, the wall coming in. Niski says, let's do this, but wasn't the right call. Niski throwing himself in for the engage as he has been strong, but a true shot from Turtle drops him with the curtain call. Deadly Flourish just missing the tail end of Apollo, which would have locked him up. And bot lane pulls off Seraph as well, so he can't really help there. An interesting engage where Envy got a little ahead of himself.
Yeah, that was Lyra pushing a side wave, trying to manage the waves before they look at possibly doing a Baron there. But Niski and Hakuo, like I said, were back, and Apollo was bluffing, but so was Lyra. Lyra was saying, we're clearing this minion wave because we can, and FlyQuest were like, no, you can't. High Ghost tries to actually get the engage, and Balls did get interrupted on his Stand United. If he had come through, it would have been a kill onto Lyra, but look at this, TP comes through from Balls. There's the root.
Great Glacial Fissure stopping Ball's taunt on the way through. Nobody's on the concussive blows though. And they almost get back onto him. He just stands beside Seraph to get the safety. Lyra shows Mickey's bot side, but they also see that he is low. Map priority is just kind of dwindling here for Envy as Fly pushes down mid.
Oh, High flashed forward. Wasn't really in range there for the Nether Grasp either. Seraph backs, doesn't have teleport for 15 more seconds, and Infernal Drake is on the table now.
They should be all right. That's High's flash actually just coming back up from his engage on Niski in the bot lane.
Yeah, FlyQuest should be able to get this, and they can look to fight because there isn't a Jarvan.
Lyra does not get the repel, taunted by Balls, devoured up by Lemon. They're gonna have another taunt as he comes out. Hakuo low on the top side, just tries to slow to get himself to safety. One last shot from Turtle, but the Azok slows the attack speed, and it's not gonna be there. It's gonna be a kill going over onto High now. Envy starts to turn the fight, but there's some damage coming back from Turtle's last shot. As he reloads, they're still heading for Solace on the fountain, and Seraph, close to dying, just beats in enough. But Lemon Nation coming up once again. Pick after pick, this Tom Kench has saved the hide of FlyQuest members.
Yeah, everybody flashing HP bars there for FlyQuest. They almost lose 3 more, and that at the beginning, they got the Infernal Drake, which is exactly what they want, but then they got a pick pretty early on in this fight. The root comes through, Balls taunts, but he goes over a lot of that Unraveled Earth, so he eats a ton of damage. They turn on to Moon, who then gets out And then Wild Turtle flashes to go after Hakuo, but he doesn't get the kill because of exhaust. So Hakuo stays alive here, which is important because he comes back in here. And then he keeps trying to get more. They almost get it. So Wild Turtle doesn't get the kill. Doesn't have any mana here. And Elimination just barely doesn't get rooted himself, so he's right on the outskirts. Woo! Yeah, playing with fire there. Wild Turtle with the flash forward. Almost got the kill, but he got an exhaust in exchange for it. And then he immediately turned back to his team saying, all right, he's messed up before. I think even back yesterday where Wild Turtle chased kills when where the rest of the team fight was going on. Doesn't have to chase the support there.
Team Ninja coming in for EnVy. These are no longer sashes, they're headbands. Around the head, 3 quick silver sashes to try and deny High or any of these picks from coming through. Lyra low, repels up. Hakuo's the only one. What's the focus? Trying to get back onto Niski. High goes on to Seraph, and Seraph jumps onto him with the newly finished QSS, and they're gonna start to wipe down FlyQuest over at the Baron. Objective going over to EnVy.
Yeah, 4 members drop from FlyQuest. That's gonna be an easy Baron for EnVy, and EnVy up 11K gold. The QSS is, those things are usually attacks on your team, but when it's a mid lane Malzahar, you just go ahead and pick that thing up. High, look, watch High here. He almost does nothing here. He's skirting around, looking for somebody to ulti. All right, maybe this guy, he does have a QSS, and then he just dies.
It's become so difficult because at one point you almost have to choose a target, right?
Yeah, you have to get the QSS for something, but it's just a rough life, dude. I mean, I feel like this Malzahar pick is not that great because the QSSs are being purchased and they aren't really taxing the inventory.
No.
We've seen it twice now, and it's been counterpicked once, and this time it's still in a matchup that they picked it into, not that effective. And Malzahar got nerfed in patch 7.12.
Right.
The damage went down on both the ultimate and I believe on the Q. So it's definitely not as hard hitting as it was even just in 7.11, and people weren't playing it then.
EnVy taking control of the map, surging their wards forward. That has not stopped from FlyQuest from putting their own security system down. Still a good bit of Sightstone wards on the map, but 11-3 here, and a much more demanding lead from EnVy in game 1. There was no point where EnVy were to give up the fights, and they've been playing well to keep doing that.
Yeah, and EnVy, if you think back to when they had that Rift Herald, that top turret still regenning, and it's not even near half HP right now. So that top inhibitor turret is close to going down. We'll have Seraph pushing that as well as the mid lane.
It's the long prep.
Yep.
The strategy is we'll be back in 10 minutes. Use it now.
Yeah, it regens 1 HP per second, so it takes you 2 minutes to get 120 HP back, and that's not a lot for a turret.
Especially when you have the full health Rift Herald in its first shot.
Uh-huh.
Hakuo nicely playing the side here. EnVy is now able to get uncontested outside turret. That's the final one to go down anyways. Under 30 minutes, EnVy trying to look at each door, each front door to the base of FlyQuest.
Yeah, and this is one of the ways that Malzahar isn't also that great of a pick is when the enemy team has the Baron, you don't have that same wave clear. The wave clear is usually pretty good to bounce, but now you have to go reach those caster minions, throw on your Malefic Visions there. This is just kind of a zoning ultimate.
Hakuo doesn't have a QSS. No, he'd block it. Flash actually has to stand beside. Can still jump to his team. 2 lockets as well if a lot of this pick damage does start to come through. So FlyQuest is probably going to be looking at guys running away with a lot of HP, even with a good engage. Yeah. It's going to be tough.
And even if High gets an ulti on somebody who doesn't have a QSS, there's double lockets on the team for Hakuo and Lyra. And then everybody else on the team that doesn't have a QSS kind of has a way to interrupt the Malefic Visions except for Apollo. So, I don't know. Feels bad, man, to be in Malzahar. Still questioning the pick, but we'll see.
A few things swapped around in picks and bans on this one. It was Lyra playing very good on Rek'Sai that time, but the moment Elise is left up, he says, I take Elise. Let's go. Continuing that pressure for Niski, continuing that pressure for Seraph in the top lane. And he seemed to have provided a lot of advantage on both of those champions throughout this game. Hakuo and Niski And the buddy system now is to go ahead and clear some wards throughout the jungle. And this is where Lyra and Niski were living for the majority of the early part of the game, making sure balls had to be pushed off turret, was always losing a few underneath, 313 to 222 at that top lane currently due to all of that and what the result of the early game was as we reach now just about 30 minutes in the game. What a Goldie.
Oh, yes.
15,000 as they tick up to 45K here.
Yeah, and they have Mountain Drake, which will help them out a decent amount here. Looks like Moon off on the side looking for some sort of pick, but they're just down in levels and down overall, so Seraph will be able to push this. Top lane, you have super minions stacking up, and in mid lane, it's just this control. Niski can go ahead and use Weaver's Wall to section off apart as soon as the minion wave walks up.
How definitive can they be now? With such a lead, it should be quite easy, but easier said than done, as always. Fly, very low on mana. Actually just kind of calling some bluffs here, looking to get maybe a QSS or an ult out of somebody, but he does not bait it out. Inhibitor falls now in the mid lane, turret I should say, as they go for the inhibitor.
Looking for that inhibitor, and yeah, they use the Weaver's Wall, like I had said, to just kind of circumvent the issue of, you know, sieges and possibly having something turned around on them. Wall it off, one of the big strengths of Taliyah. Let's see at level 16, it's a gigantic wall going in, but he's gonna die.
I was gonna say, what's a perfect engage, but they're forced into engage. Balls goes in with the Stand United onto Moon, but they melt as fast as they appear out of the ground. And now it's gonna be EnVy inside the base. We are looking to go to a game 3, but they won't do it without the death of Wild Turtle. He's gonna live on the fountain, nobody's gonna dive that. They've been diving quite a bit this game, but the Nexus turrets are in their eyes, and they know what the prize is. It's going to be the Nexus, 14-3. A very back and forth game in game 1, but EnVy's game here in game 2 as they drop the Nexus. We're headed to game 3.
FlyQuest want to pick up a win for themselves in game 3 and move to 2-6, but EnVy have that 500 record in their sights. They would be at 4-4 after the next game win, and that would put them at more wins than they had in Spring Split.
I think this one we can easily pull back the champion select here for FlyQuest, trying to kind of throw something into the mix. Maybe throw off what would happen if Niski couldn't control the wave push in mid, but you're Taliyah, so you just push back as hard, throwing rocks all over the place. But it kind of falling flat on the side of FlyQuest this game, but seeing EnVy carry the early game lead all the way through this time.
Yeah, EnVy were able to get a very early lead off of a lot of the action from Niski with a very high kill participation during the early parts of the game on the Taliyah, was able to bully high, and that's kind of what I think did is when you bully high in the laning phase, it seems like I said, their shot calling
changes.
Slows down a little bit. He got a QSS, which then when he went to the side lane was able to outplay, and so FlyQuest were never able to really get anything with a large part of what their composition is built to do to pick somebody off.
I think they did a great job as well. We just mentioned at the end seeing Niski and Lyra towards the top side of the jungle. At that point, it was Niski and Hakuo, but they lived behind that red buff, making sure balls really didn't have anything from high, from Moon, and he was always walking away from that turret. We saw the lead that Seraph had, and he got back to being Seraph this game on that Jarvan. All in, all the time.
Yeah, and it's so interesting when I watch EnVy series because I was starting to kind of notice a trend, and I wasn't sure what it was, and then I started looking things up, and EnVy on blue side are 8 wins, 2 losses. EnVy on red side, 1 win, 9 losses. They have lost 9 times on red side and only picked up a single victory. I feel like their champion select, they end up going in first and being like, let's get those counter picks for top lane on red side. Let's get Seraph something that he can bully a matchup. And they do it, and it doesn't work out. Whereas when he has to blind pick or, you know, pick something for the team, it ends up being a little bit more of a cohesive strategy for them. So I feel like coming into game 3, I want to see something where EnVy can play more like this game than the first game.
We'll see if they can keep it coordinated. To get their thoughts on how EnVy tied this series, let's send her over to the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Zyrene's making our job easy for us, just teeing us right up.
Yeah, let him take the whole segment.
For the champion select conversation, but I actually really love that point he's making around their records on blue side as compared to red side here for Team EnVy, because at a certain point, when statistics are that lopsided, they generally point to something. Let's see if we can identify it. He's maybe looking at Seraph, you know, as when he's looking for the counter matchups, being unsuccessful as opposed to playing for the team. What are your thoughts there?
Probably something like that. They also, on red side, they leave up Kennen a couple times. So we saw that one game versus Echo Fox we talked about where he's playing Jace versus Kennen, gets taken apart. Same thing happened in their first game this time around, also on red side. And it feels like he's willing to take those skill matchups more when they don't have the super early, you give up the priority pick in that. They also gave up a lot of Galio plenty of times when they were on red side as well. So they have this tendency to leave up a power pick and say, okay, Seraph, counter pick it. Doesn't always work out for them. Another trend going on here is the return to Talia, which is something that we said we haven't seen out of Niski so far. He breaks it out and does great.
Yeah, that's the thing. At the conclusion of game one, we were talking about, well, something that Pyrion did bring to the team was the ability to move to other lanes with an advantage, or at least help Lyra when he makes those visitations to the side lane. This time around, First Blood is as a result of a Niski roam to the top side with that Talia, and that's where we've seen EnVy be most successful, is when they can give Seraph that help to kind of get off the ground.
And the thing about Jarvan, too, is while he's a tanky initiating playmaker, he's not a super skill-based matchup where you need to be spacing your autos correctly all the time and making sure you don't take chunk, else you'll be forced out of lane, these kinds of situations. It can still has a go button, you can EQ in, you can make a lot of plays, but if you bring a Talia up or an Elise or something, and there were multiple roams to him over the course of this game, not just that one, he's fine at starting those dives off, and then he can transition more to of a frontliner in team fights versus trying to play backline.
Now, in general, though, we look at this game and we look at the lead that EnVy built, and I can't help but look at the other side of that matchup over on FlyQuest and say, well, everyone's getting beaten CS across the board with only 3 kills on the table in those early portions of the game. I realize that EnVy finished the game with 16, but when we come into the game at 20 minutes, it's 3-0 in terms of kills, and yet there's a 7K gold advantage for EnVy.
That was the crazy thing, was I watched the dive that happened at 18 minutes on the balls. You see 3-0 in kills, you see 3-0 in turrets, and you think, okay, probably about a 4K gold advantage, and it's 7, and you're wondering, where does this other gold discrepancy come from? And it's just the fact that FlyQuest, for the most part, is always getting smashed in CS. It happened again here, around a 40 CS deficit in the top lane with balls and around a 20 CS deficit in the mid lane, despite the fact that, oh yeah, the Talia's also getting on the map more and pushing better and roaming. So it's this kind of thing where, there were a couple sequences where FlyQuest played all right in the mid game. They did take an Infernal Dragon away, down about 8K gold, and it's like, if you're just closer into this game, you might actually make a comeback.
Right, if it's 4K instead of 8K, maybe you start winning the fights and you actually claw your way back into it. At a certain point, gold will make up for misgivings in terms of player skill or even champion, power when it comes to those late game team fights.
That's one of the reasons you hear people say in League of Legends, well, that was a bad draft, but it doesn't really matter because they got so far ahead in the early game. You can win with these different ideas as long as you execute well in the early game. And on the side of FlyQuest, it's kind of the opposite problem where, your comp may make some sense in what it's trying to do, but at the end of the day, if you're falling down 30 CS every game in multiple lanes, it's so hard to play these out.
And that's where, to a degree, I have to be reserved in the assessment of EnVy here on the victory, because it's like, okay, great, it was a 20K goal lead when the game concluded. I mean, that's insane. But at a certain point, when it's all going in your favor early, I still struggle saying, oh, EnVy clearly understands how to close a game, because if you've got a 10K gold lead, it's pretty simple to do. And so I'd still like to see EnVy in a situation where the gold lead's closer using a pick like Talia successfully, because occasionally we saw ults that weren't necessarily as clean as, say, when Pyrion's throwing them out to secure turrets.
There were definitely a couple misangled ults coming out of Niski at the end of the game there. And like you said, a lot of this stuff was kind of on the back of FlyQuest. The fight that actually got them Baron was this kind of situation where suddenly High's in the middle of the river and Shenal's coming on top of him and Lemonation's coming in with Tom Kenshin. It's just this weird situation that is easily won by EnVy, and then they get a Baron off the back of it and they go and push with their massive lead. It wasn't quite this, let's get vision control, let's force them to walk in, now we've walled them out and we're engaging.
But what we can say is that we asked to see more looks from Niski. We got that. The Talia comes in, they're successful with it. He had a solid performance. He'll pick up player of the game here, 4, 1, and 9 on that pick. So once again, already within his first weekend of play, showing relatively diverse champion pool, both strategically as well as at the level to which he can play them comfortably and pretty competently in 1v1s.
His ability to get his own leads, I think, is something that has been a little different between him and Pyrion, because this whole time we've been saying, oh yeah, he's playing these kind of greedier champions, and he gets leads, but he's kind of giving stuff up to do so. This time around, gets a big CS advantage on High, as well as gets up to the top lane and starts snowballing for Seraph, who can be a little bit of an erratic player.
So Adam, dominant victory for Envy here in Game 2. The teams are tied up, but only one squad can end their weekend with a win. Meet us back here after the break for the conclusion of our series between FlyQuest and Team Envy.